In this lesson, we're going to learn about construction 12. Similar to the last two constructions that we learnt, it's a triangle. But this time, we're only told one side measurement, but we're given two angles. So if you recall, providing we have three pieces of information, then we can accurately construct a triangle using our math sets. So we have two angles and one side. This is known as ASA. For this triangle, let's have a look at constructing the triangle ABC. So our three vertices, our 3 points that connect the corners of our triangle are A, B, and C. The one side length that we've been given is the measurement between point A and B, and that's 7 centimeters. And we have two angles, the one that sits at letter B, the measurement 80 degrees, and the second angle of our three-sided triangle with three angles. The second one sits at A and is 50 degrees. Like always, we start off by drawing a rough sketch, which helps us then to guide ourselves for our actual construction. As we only have one side length, there's no reason to pick the largest side. We must go with the one that we've been given as our base, our bottom side of our triangle. And in this case, it's from A to B. So we're going to use our ruler then to measure A to B of 7 centimeters. Now for our sketch, if you recall, we don't need to use our ruler this time. We're just drawing a rough idea. So you can just do a small line segment. And of course, we make sure that we write on the measurements and the 2 points. Then we know that we have an angle that sits at A, and that's this one here because A is the middle letter, of 50 degrees. So this is going to be 50 degrees. We know that 50 is acute, so it will look something like this. It's just a little bit bigger than 45 degrees, which is a bisector of a right angle, exactly half of a right angle. And then the remaining angle, we were told, sits at B. And again, that's acute, 80 degrees, a little bit steeper than this one. So it will look something like that. So again, this looks scruffy, but it's there just to kind of highlight to you that it is just a sketch. It's not accurate at this point. So now we can move on to the actual construction. So we're going to start using our ruler and construct the line segment that we've been given the measurement of 7 centimeters for. Again, sharp pencils, nice and neat, super accurate, and then you can put your labeled points in pen. Remember that we always have to write on all the information we've been given, so we have to write the measurement at 7 centimeters. Now we're going to use our protractor then to construct the two angles that we've been given. We'll start off with the one that's at point A, which was 50 degrees, like we showed on our sketch. So whichever angle the point is sitting on, that is the point that we have to place in our center mark of our protractor, making sure that the base line of our triangle is exactly underneath the baseline of our protractor. Whichever 0 it passes through, so it's passing through 0 here, that's the inner scale. It's a number on the inside. So we're going to be counting up from these numbers, going up from 0 until we find 50. There it is. So we'll place a small dot then outside of the protractor, and we're then going to use a straight edge, and we're going to connect the point A through, passing through this point and going nice and high up our page. Again, that's our construction workings. Now we're going to do the exact same process again. Remember that we must label our measurement of 50 degrees. We're going to do the exact process with B, and we know that that is this time 80 degrees. So the center mark of our protractor goes on top of B. We line up the two baselines, And this time you can see that 0 that has the base, the line that we've lined up the two baselines with, it's crossing the 0 on the left-hand side, which is the outer scale. So we count up from 0 again until we get to 80. There it is. We're going to put our little marker then outside of the protractor. And again, using a straight edge, we're going to connect B, very accurately B. So we don't want it to be slightly to the left, slightly to the right. So be careful how you line up your ruler or your straight edge. And again, we're going to draw right the way through until it definitely crosses the previous construction line. Now, if your lines don't cross, it's simply that you haven't drawn them long enough. So extend them until they do. And for this reason, it's really important that you start your construction lower down on your page, knowing that you have to produce the triangle further up above it. So the only thing left to do then is to label our third vertex, that's C, and check that we have all 3 points labelled and all 3 pieces of measurements. So the 2 angles and the 1 side. Angle, side, angle. And there we have it. So let's do it for ourselves now. So we're going to construct a triangle ABC. So 3 vertices, point A, point B, and point C. And we're told that the distance between A and B, so the measurement of the length, the line segment AB is 7 centimetres. And we're told 2 angles, one that sits at B is 30 degrees, and the one that sits at A is 50 degrees. So we'll start our answer off with our sketch. There's our sketch. Start off with the baseline. We know that the angle sitting at A, so that's this one here. It follows the path of B to A to C. B, A, C. So it sits in the middle one. That's 50 degrees. And then on the other side, A, B, C, so from A to B to C, that's 30 degrees. And where they meet then will be the third vertex, C. So it's time to start the actual construction. Let's start with our baseline, AB, and we're going to make sure that we have plenty of space above us, so we're going to put it lower down on your page. So because my pencil's nice and sharp, I can see that it starts exactly at 0 and ends at 7. So my baseline is nice and accurate, AB, and we write the measurement 7 centimetres. So next we'll start off with the angle that's sitting at A. We can see from our sketch that that's the ones for 50 degrees. So I'm going to line up my centre mark exactly over A and then make sure that the baseline, so the bottom line going from that centre mark on my protractor, that's level with 0 and 180. That's going to go exactly on top of the baseline of our triangle, the side AB that we've just created. So once that's nicely lined up, then I see through my baseline which 0 does it pass through. Well, it doesn't pass through the 0 here, it passes through this one. So we're going to be using the inner scale, the inner numbers, and we're going to be counting up until we get to 50. There's 50, so I'm going to place my little pencil dot exactly and neatly then outside of the protractor, level with 50. I can now take my protractor away and line up the point A and the point that we have just created, making sure that when I put the pencil against the ruler that it's going to go through exactly and not slightly to the left or to the right. And I'm going to keep going up the top of my page to prove to the examiner that I have constructed it in the correct manner. Now, again, like always, we must make sure that we label all the information that was given in the question. So I'm going to write my 50 degrees. And now we're going to do the exact same process, but for the angle that sits at B. So again, the centre mark and the baseline need to be lined up. And this time we want 30 degrees. I apologise for the bit of noise. There seems to be a hedge cutter or something outside. So once you're happy that the centre mark is definitely, so where these two lines cross, definitely lined up with B. And the base line of the protractor, you can't even see it because it's perfectly on top of the base of the triangle. Let's see which zero, this zero or this zero, does the baseline of our triangle. Is it underneath? It's underneath this one. So that helps us to know that we're counting up with the outside numbers. And this time we want 30 degrees. So wherever we find 30, we place our little dot outside of the protractor. We can then remove it and we can connect our vertex B with that point, making sure the pencil passes through accurately the two of them, and we keep extending it up to the top of our page. There we go. And you can see that it has indeed crossed our other arm that we created from A. Now, if they don't cross, you just need to make sure that you extend your two sides. You might have just stopped slightly short. Remember that we have to have all the information that was given in the question written down, so I need to label that this angle is 30 degrees. And then we need to check that we have all three vertices labelled, so I must also put my C. And there we have it, perfectly accurate construction of ASA, a triangle with two angles and one side line length, ASA. I'd like you now to please open your notes copy and to construct the same construction that I have just done. You can copy the image that's on your screen now. If you can please make sure that you have the written instructions, the written steps as well, and that you do label it with a heading, Construction 12, Triangle ASA. Remember that all construction lines should be in pencil. The pencil is nice and sharp. And that your letters and numbers are in pen. And one last thing then before you go. Why should you be wary of somebody that's holding graph paper? Because they must be plotting something. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next class.